Boosting immune system, no dessert, right? Well, you would be wrong. It's me after all. There isn't a day that doesn't go by that I don't need something a little bit sweet. But you can have dessert and boost immune function at the same time. We're gonna make pumpkin bars. It's easier than pumpkin pie. Everyone panics when they hear crust, but stay with me. In this pan, we have canned pumpkin. You can roast a butternut squash or a pumpkin and pull the flesh out yourself, or you can buy a can of unsweetened pumpkin and make your life easy. That's what I do. We're adding to it some plant milk. You may use almond, soy, oat, rice, whatever floats your boat. And then we're gonna turn on the heat to medium. Just make sure it's unsweetened because you don't want any added sugar. And we're gonna add to this some brown rice syrup, which is a glucose-based sweetener. It's a complex sugar. It's not an insulin trigger. So there you go. Again, immune booster. It's like having your cake and eating it too. We're gonna add to it some agar flakes. Agar are sea vegetables, and it's a tasteless, odorless flake. You can see it's almost clear. And what this will do is set the pumpkin up like Jell-O. Okay, then we add a touch of nutmeg. Really err to the lighter side of nutmeg because it can really overpower a dish. So when I say a pinch, I mean a pinch. Then some cinnamon, because it's pumpkin, which also helps to balance blood sugar. So you have that lovely flavor and balances blood sugar. And we have some powdered ginger, which helps to stimulate circulation. Touch of salt to make it sweet. A little vanilla extract, really good vanilla extract. The stuff that you want to dab behind your ears and smell like a bakery. Then we're going to give this a stir. And this is going to cook, and you're going to stir it occasionally for about 15 minutes. You need the agar flakes to melt. And once they melt, the setting will happen in the filling, right? You want this to set up so you can slice them into bars. And we'll also add one other thickener that will make them creamy, but first it has to cook. So you want to get your heat to low once you get a little bit of a boil happening, so that this can just simmer and the flakes of the agar just dissolve. You really won't see them dissolve in this, so you give it like 15 minutes. Okay, now we're gonna make the crust. Really easy. First, we're gonna oil our baking dish. You wanna oil the dish so that the square's crust doesn't stick. Just a tiny bit of olive oil. And then take a brush, or you can use a paper towel or a tissue, and just make sure that the surface of the pan is covered. All this is going to do is help the little squares to release. Otherwise, they'll stick and break, and you'll have to serve them and call them rustic. So, into our mixing bowl goes a cup and a half of flour. And our pumpkin's turning into Mount Vesuvius over here. Remember, when you're using whole grain flours, measure from the container or bag or whatever into your measuring cup, and don't smooth the top. Right? Don't do it that way. Just measure a little more loosely so you keep the air in the flour. You need the air in the flour, otherwise your crust will get heavy, your cakes will get heavy, your cookies will get heavy. So you got to kind of remember to do that. Or not do that, depending on how you look at it. A little bit of salt, some coconut sugar, which is a low glycemic index granular sugar made from coconut sap, but tastes like brown sugar. And it's going to make our crust more like a shortbread. And a little bit of plant milk. You can also use water. You want to cut calories? Use water. You want more of a shortbread? Use plant milk. I tend to go for oat or almond. They're the ones that I really like the best, but you may use what you like. And we're going to add enough liquid with oil to create a soft crust. And now you're thinking, but I don't roll crust, Christina. You don't have to. We're going to press it. So once your crust comes together, and with the adding of the liquid to the crust, you can add the oil first, the oat milk first, whatever. It's a crust. It's not rocket science. Then you clean off your spoon. Your crust should just come together. Don't touch it too much and have it start to, get the oil of your hands and have it be heavy. So you just want it to come together like this. Now you're going to take it, and using wet hands so you don't stick to it, you're going to press the crust evenly into the bottom of your pan, your oiled pan. And again, don't need a measuring ruler here. Just press the crust and try to get it even. You don't want like a really thin part and a really thick part. First of all, it won't bake evenly. The really thin crust will burn and it'll be dry. So just kind of get it even. You can feel it. That took me, I don't know, 2 seconds. There we go. Now we're going to check our pumpkin. And now we're going to take and candy some pecans. And this is a really easy process. I know this seems like a lot of steps. Stay with me. It's such an easy and satisfying dessert. I have pecan pieces in this saucepan, and I'm adding some brown rice syrup, which is going to give it a nice caramel kind of finish. So we're just going to let that warm up while we thicken, for the second time, our pumpkin filling. So now we're going to take some arrowroot. You may use kuzu, but arrowroot works more like cornstarch, but it's more alkalizing to digestion, so it's not the same as using cornstarch. So don't just sub it out because you can. Get some arrowroot. And you just pour a little cold water in it. And I usually, because I don't like to dirty more things than I have to when I'm cooking, I'm telling you, I'm lazy. I use the same spoon from the pumpkin, dissolve the arrowroot, so there's no lumps. Pour it right into your simmering pumpkin. Stir it in just until it blends. What you'll see at first is that this gets really cloudy and it doesn't look that great. But as soon as the arrowroot is blended in and the pumpkin is a nice bright orange again, now you're going to take it right over to the crust. Now you have an option. You can blind bake your crust for 7 minutes if you want something that's crunchier, or if you want it cakier like I prefer, you just put your cooked pumpkin right on top of the raw crust. Smooth it out so it's even. Again, so it bakes evenly, and so you don't have like a pumpkin square that's that thick and that thick, right? Then we go over here and check on our pecans. Just stir them long enough for the rice syrup to coat them so they're shiny. These get spooned on top of your pumpkin. Make sure you preheat your oven to 350. These won't cover the pumpkin completely, but you don't want them to. You want to have a little bit of that orange pumpkin peeking out. And these are going to go into the oven and bake until the outer edge is set and the inside still jiggles. It'll set as it cools. I'll show you in a second. So there you have it. Cooled pumpkin squares. They're perfectly set, no jiggle. They'll cut with nice clean edges. So what are you waiting for? Let's boost our immune systems together and get back to the cutting board. See you next time on Christina Cooks.